From out of the crowd of critters a dog bounded toward him. Rick opened his arms wide. "Coco!" Coco leaped on Rick, knocking him to the ground, and proceeded to give him a good face-licking. Then Coco sat up, looked at Rick, and cocked his head. "I thought Buster was just bringing back my squeaky bone, but he brought you back too." Coco lowered his voice. "You're not supposed to be here, Ricky." Rick looked around him. "Where is here, Coco?" "The Rainbow Bridge." Rick looked puzzled. "What's the Rainbow Bridge?" "It's not a what, it's a place. Come on, I'll show you." Coco trotted off down a path, and Rick followed. They climbed over a rise in the meadow to see an enormous mountain of bones. It must have been as high as a house. Laying across the bone pile, dogs of all sizes were chewing happily. Coco licked his lips. "You never run out of bones at the Rainbow Bridge." They continued down the path. A whizzing noise filled the air, and a pair of dogs raced past them, chasing a frisbee. More whizzing and more frisbees flew by, followed by more dogs. Rick looked up the hill. At the top was a large mechanical frisbee throwing device, operated by a dog pedaling a pulley device. "The machine never gets tired of throwing them, unlike some people I know." Coco looked sideways at Rick, who pretended not to hear. Rick stepped off the path to get a better view and jumped as a cat paw appeared out of the foliage and swiped his ankle. "Watch it, Ricky. You're stepping on catnip." Rolling fields of catnip stretched as far as Rick could see, with cattails contentedly waving above the catnip. Beyond it, rabbits were happily hopping about among the daisies. Rick gingerly followed Coco over a log bridge into a lush forest, where thousands of birds fluttered about. Budgies, finches, parrots all happily crowded the branches. The sound of their singing was almost deafening. Rick stopped in front of a heap of couches. The sides had been shredded by cat claws, and almost every couch was occupied by snoozing dogs or cats. Coco pawed at a cushion. "We call this our lounge area, and no one tells you to get off the couch." "At first, I felt a bit guilty," said Coco, "but it soon passes." Coco stopped by a clear running stream and plunged his head into it. Bubbles came up from under the water. Coco lifted his head. "You'll love this, Ricky." Rick shook his head. "Thanks, but I'm not thirsty." "No, remember that goldfish you had when you were 3? "Bob?" "Yes, Bob was the best goldfish ever. I really miss Bob." "Well, stick your head in the water and say hello to Bob." Rick took a deep breath and stuck his head in the water. Sure enough, Bob swam up to him, wiggled his tail, and blew a stream of bubbles at Rick, which tickled his nose. Rick didn't know what to say. Everyone looked so happy. "But what are you all doing here?" Coco casually lifted his leg to pee on one of the many brightly painted fire hydrants that lined the path through the meadow, waiting for those who loved us to turn up. Rick was about to say something when a bell tolled in the distance. The meadow came alive with animals, and Rick was almost bowled over by the crowd that was loping, scampering, and scuttling across the meadow, all heading in the same direction. Coco pulled Rick's sleeve. "Come on, Rick. It's pickup time."